Alright, welcome. Hello Aditsa, Editsa, or Editsa. What's going on? Can you hear me well, loud and clear? So the sound should be coming really good, I guess. Okay, so you can start leaving your questions here. All right, and the agenda for today is probably gonna be maybe 40 minutes or even less, depending on how many questions you guys have. Editsa, since you're active in the chat, you have the privilege of asking whatever question you want. So aside of asking or answering your questions, I want to be looking at some bug bounty reports, and I also want to be looking maybe at some attack defense stuff. Maybe we'll do an attack defense challenge in this relatively medium length live stream, because I don't want to go for 2 or 3 hours live streaming. Maybe some other time, depending on what you fellows want. Yeah. Okay, so Editsa, you have exclusivity right now until someone else starts asking questions. You're saying that you've never done any bug bounties, so can you advise where to start? Okay, so hello Marcel, hello Striker 4150. Editsa, you've never done bug bounties. Can you advise me where to start? Well, first of all, where are you in the cybersecurity field? What's your experience? You have to give me some context here to actually work with. What do you know? Did you take any course in cybersecurity, in penetration testing? What's your experience in penetration testing? Are you working in penetration testing or cybersecurity? Do you know what bug bounties are? So give me some description of your situation, and I may be able to give you precise suggestions on what I think you should be doing. Okay, so hello Marcel, long time no see. Hello from Timisoara again. Hi, how's it going with the Python for penetration testers course? So yeah, speaking of which, let me actually make some very shameless plug here. So the Python for penetration testers course, we have 34 people already enrolled in the course, and since any of you guys watching this are enrolled, I'll be looking forward to your feedback. I don't have any rating as of yet, so since some of you might be enrolled, I'll be looking forward to your feedback, because I need some ratings here, so that other people know what is the opinion of others on the course. So I just released this last week, and it's still at $11.99. So Udemy butchers the price and the creators by reducing it, but whatever. What can we do? Yeah, so if any of you watching this live stream are asking or wondering what this is all about, this is a course on Python applied to penetration testing, and in this course there's a lot of stuff going on. It's like about 2-hour video. I teach you how to gather information with Python, build a port scanner, grabbing screenshots. This is really interesting because we're using the WX Python module. We're building a TCP server and client with the socket module. Then we're doing some network sniffing with the Scapy module, and all those goodies that are here. So leaving this aside, I just realized that you guys haven't seen what I'm talking about. So I'm gonna switch the screen now, and I was talking about the Udemy course that's here. So, and this is the curriculum. that I won't repeat again. So if you I need feedback for those of you who are already enrolled in the course. I need feedback. You can leave the feedback personally, but I would also rather have you rate this course whatever you think is fair, and be very objective and critical, because I need that. And yeah, that's that. You can go to Udemy and maybe take advantage of this price for whatever length of time it is available. All right, now, hello Jeffy. So let's see. I'm actually gonna look for your questions, but I also want to get into doing some practical stuff. Editha, you're saying that you're in high school, have been doing IT for 1 year. Jeffy, still learning Python. In the meantime, checking some basic. Okay, guys. Editha, what do you want to pay through PayPal? Let's look into some bug bounty stuff. Since you guys can see my screen, let's go to HackerOne, for example, and see the latest hacker activity on HackerOne. And let's actually sort these by new and look into the bugs that have been disclosed recently. I'm probably most interested in iDoors right now because that's what I focus on, and a combination of iDoors and mobile. So mobile iDoors. So iDoors insecure direct object references. But we can look through any of these that are here. So bypassing protection mechanisms, change of account name after session logout. Let's see what this is all about. And also let me know, guys, in the comments here if you want me to actually do or to look into bug bounty reports in future videos, because I think when you want to learn bug bounty hunting, this is probably one of the first things that you would look into. You would be looking into, let me disable this. You would be looking into bug bounty reports as one of the first things to get inspiration from and to learn from, because you learn a lot from these reports, much more than you would learn by going through a course or something that's less realistic or practical. So anyways, bypassing protection mechanisms, change of account name after session logout. So this was an informative, and it was closed. And let's see, there's not much into this one, so they don't actually give you the details of what happened here. We can see that 5 days ago this guy submitted the report to New Relic. The researcher illustrated a delay in session invalidation. This has not been added to our public policy to help prevent confusion. So this this researcher, and I'm going to be critical here. This researcher should have been more thorough in assessing the scope before reporting this perceived weakness in New Relic's system, because they actually closed it as informative, and they might have not given any reputation or points or anything to the researcher. In fact, it might have negatively affected the reputation of this fellow researcher. We can see their reputation is 90 and signal is minus 333. Okay, so before, if you are doing bug bounties on HackerOne and you want to prevent this type of situation, and you can see the stats over here as well, you should probably be reading the scope thoroughly, the scope of each project. If we go into each bug bounty program. If we go into the HackerOne new releases program here, we can see the entire policy, and this is the first thing that everyone should do. I know it's lengthy stuff, but you avoid being or receiving negative feedback, or having duplicates, or having out of scope submissions, or even actually getting into legal stuff if you fall out of scope and you test for assets that you are not actually permitted to by the scope. So the scope is very lengthy in this case, but I think it's a respect to the new relic or to any program. It is a show of respect to the program and to HackerOne and to yourself as a security researcher to start with reading the scope and trying to understand it thoroughly. Okay? Alright, so we should look into another one. Okay guys, so 10 of you are here, and I'm gonna answer your questions by the end of this video. Let's look into maybe 2 more reports on HackerOne. Let's look into 2 more reports here, and then maybe do some maybe do one challenge on attack defense. As you can see, the categories over here, I would actually have you vote for what type of challenge or realistic scenario you want me to try in this video, but maybe I won't give you this liberty of choice, and I'll probably pick something from real-world web apps, maybe from web app CVEs, or something from offensive Python. Look at how many or web app pen testing. Look at how many categories these guys have on attack defense. So in total, as of right now, they have 1,600, almost 1,700 labs. But anyways, let's go back to looking into HackerOne bug bounty reports. Okay, so we're already 14 minutes in. Next report, unrestricted file upload when creating quotes allows for stored XSS, and this has been assigned $250, and it was disclosed 6 hours ago. And so this is Mochan, and we also have a open redirect in secure showmax. This Visma bug bounty was probably released in January from what I know. We also have server-side request forgery. Let's also look into this one. Maybe these are more detailed or not. They are not detailed, but we have a summary for this one. Let's see this one. This one is more detailed, so we have something to work with. Alright, let's actually start with the first one. Unrestricted file upload when creating quotes allows for stored XSS. Okay, this was resolved, and the fellow researcher was awarded $250, which is nice. And it was on Visma Online e-accounting. Let's look into this program and see what it is about and what's in scope. In scope, we have the e-accounting stage. Okay. So it's exactly the domain that the researcher was testing. We also have admin stage Visma Online. We also have some out of scope stuff that we should be aware of. We have just a few more domains over here. So this is what's permitted to test on. We don't have a wildcard. We don't have a wildcard policy, which means that the program is quite selective with the assets that they allow us as hackers or bug bounty hunters or security researchers, whatever you would like to call yourself. This is what they allow us to test. So an attacker is able to bypass the restrictions which limit user uploads to PDF only. so they can bypass the PDF only restriction for uploads. This allows actually to upload malicious content. First, the system checks the MIME type and it fails to match content type. And if it fails to match content type, then the upload will be processed. It then checks if the magic PDF bytes are within the body. However, it does not check where within the body. Therefore, if a user supplies a file that contains PDF anywhere in the file upload, it will be accepted. So in this case, you can manipulate a file which is not necessarily a PDF and inject in that file this %PDF, which will trick the server, or it will allow for bypassing this restriction. I was able to upload a HTML embedded with the PDF magic bytes and include a JavaScript code to gain stored XSS. I think in this case, this type of attack could have been escalated to even more serious situations, even though stored XSS is already quite serious. So this was reported on February the 3rd, 28 days ago, and they discussed back and forth with the Visma team. So we can see February 3rd, 4th, 5th. And then this was triaged like 2 days after being reported, and then 2 days after being reported, the researcher was awarded $250. And then the back and forth, and they allowed to disclose the report. So I guess this is really informative. This is interesting. So if you encounter this type of situation, you would check and see if you can replicate this type of attack. To be honest, I haven't been thinking of this kind of attack, but it might be quite prevalent. Okay, so how are we on time? Je s'appelle Groot. Hello, Christy. Not Critty, I am Christy. Or Christy, or Christian, or Chris. You have a question. You know how in batch. So I'll be looking into your question, Je s'appelle Groot, at the end of this live stream. So let's see this last one. Server-side request forgery in API NPM module. So this was for Node.js third-party modules. While we were testing our security engine at Shieldify, we found the server-side request forgery SSRF in API NPM package. So it allows hackers to easily extract information from the server or take control of internal services. So this is pretty serious. So did they actually reward something to this researcher? Or is the fact that the NPM JS third party does not give monetary rewards? Let's see. So this would be ineligible. These are those scope items that are eligible for rewards, and it is likely that the weakness reported here, or the bug reported here, wasn't, or was probably in the ineligible category. Let's see. So it was third-party modules. It's probably not in the rewardable category. So they've got a lot of stuff in their scope. Anyways, it always is the fact that, or it often is the fact that when you go and try to look for a program in the directory over here, those that don't give bounties So let's say offer bounties, and look for those that do not offer bounties. You might have a higher chance of finding bugs and increasing your reputation on the platform than just jumping straight into the programs that have bounties, because the programs with bounties and with large bounties, those are probably the most sought after by everyone on the platform. So if you shoot for programs that have zero or like lower bounties, you might have a chance of you might have higher chances of actually getting bugs, because not a lot of people look at them. So I won't be going into details, but you can look into this one because I want to do some practical stuff. You might be looking at the details of this one and actually read it yourself. I never actually looked into the Node.js program, so it might not be interesting to me either. And we can see that the report is like pretty well done. So this is a type of report that can be used as model for you if you're just learning how to submit a report, because if you provide as many details as possible, they will actually appreciate the fact. So the team that's actually triaging or triaging the reports are very appreciative of well-written reports, and this is the case for this one. So make sure that you provide as many details as possible. Sorry for my phone, just a second to mute it. Okay, so I was saying that try to write well-written reports, and with that, let's look into attack defense. So there are 13 of you here. Okay, so attack defense, a long time no see. Not actually that long, maybe just a few weeks since I have not been doing or since the last time I've been doing challenges. Let's look into web app CVEs. Let's take a recent one, a 2020 CVE. And I hope that this is gonna take less than 10 minutes. If it takes more than 10 minutes, I'm just gonna stop, answer some of your questions, because in about 30 minutes I have to prepare to leave. So we have only 2 web app CVEs for 2020. We have a CSRF and a remote code execution or remote command execution, and this might be interesting. Hopefully this is not used for their verifiable badges thing. Let me see, because if it's used for this badge, I won't be doing it. Doesn't seem so. Okay, an attacker might get administrative access to a web application. However, let's just start this. However, this does not automatically mean that a web server can be compromised. That's true. In cases where an SaaS, software as a service application, is made available to users, it is routine to give each user admin access, that's right, to his own instance of the web application, such as in a hosted WordPress site. In such scenarios, the attacker, who will begin accessing the application as a managed administrative user, will have to figure out how to exploit the administrative interface to get shell on the server. In some cases, it might be possible to do privilege escalation as well. So this is also encountered when it comes to IDORs and broken access control. So you might want to be looking into those type of vulnerabilities on the OWASP website. In the exercise below, the attacker has administrative access to the web application and needs to find a remote code execution attack to run arbitrary commands on the server. So QDPM, I believe this is the vulnerable software, is a free and open source project management solution written in PHP. So this is vulnerable to remote code execution as documented in this CVE. So we have the following username and passwords can be used to explore the application and or find the vulnerability which might require authentication. Alright, your task is to find and exploit this vulnerability. We also have a hint here, so let's start the timer, I guess. Let's check the time. 27 minutes, so up until 37 minutes. And go. We'll just click on the lab link. We have the test at test XYZ. So test at test.xyz, and the password is password1. Okay, never. Alright, so we have to find and actually find a remote code execution in this user panel. Let's look at the CVE because this is going to give us sufficient detail. This is probably going to give us exactly what we need. Let's look at ExploitDB, QDPM. So this is 2020. Exploit title QDPM remote code execution. There's also a Google Doc for this one. Okay, I don't want to get into that because there probably are a lot of results for this vulnerability. So this was by Rishal Dwivedi, also known as LoginSoft. Probably this is their Twitter handle. Alright, so this is a Python exploit, and we'll be running it with, so we simply have to run this, I guess, against our server here. I am going to copy the exploit. Let's see what it actually does. So it uses requests LXML to be able to parse XML or to work with XML files, and I also need argparse. So argparse is actually used for the command line arguments which are here. So they use argparse for this one because it gets the URL as a command line argument, the user as a command line argument, and the password as a command line argument. And what they actually do is they just send a request which is formulated like this. So it instantiates a request, a session request. So from requests it actually instantiates a session into this variable, and then it gives the details of the request, which is probably where the vulnerability is. Okay, this is probably where the vulnerability is. So it actually makes a post request to the host name, which is defined, let's see, it's probably defined somewhere over here in the rec function, and then it actually sends a file, files request one. This is a file actually, which is a multi-form user ID CSRF token as well as HT access. So it does a series of requests. It also does a second and a third request. This is an interesting exploit, and it probably took them a while to figure it out, which is like really good. This is what a true security researcher does. I want to get into this kind of stuff one day, but one step at a time. Okay, so we have this entire thing, and finally it runs the main. So if name equals main, this is going to be ran. Not sure if the indentation it should probably be fine. So if we look at downloading the exploit, let's download it to desktop like that. Let's call it exactly like that, and then we can, I believe that we can simply run it according to the commands or to the command line instructions that are here. What I want to specify in this case is whenever you're using exploits for testing with permission a client's website, please make sure to actually read and try to understand what that type of exploit does, because you don't want to end up having files or entire storage or yourself being infected with the exploit itself, because there have been situations in the past when people have been downloading these so-called exploits for certain things, and those exploits weren't legit. They weren't actually exploits for a vulnerable service. They were actually destroying the attacker's data. So make sure you read and try to understand whatever the exploit is doing. Alright, so in this case we are in a realistic scenario. Realistic, not real, but realistic. And we're gonna run this. Okay, so it's saved on the desktop. I'm going to move to desktop, and then I'm going to run this. I believe it's probably can be run with Python 3, I guess. Let's see. No, it's Python 2. So this is Python 2. So I will say py -2 and then the name of the exploit, and then the following command line argument is the URL, so -URL, and then we specify the URL, which is that one, like that. The user is test@test.xyz, and the password is password1, as we've been provided in the details here. If I run this, I should be able to have remote code execution on the server. So let's see. Fingers crossed. We have non-ASCII characters. No encoding declared. Alright. We can research this. So it's on line 2. Or maybe I can just, let's see if I can modify this. Line 2 non-ASCII character. Line 2. So what if we just, this is probably where the situation is. The problem is, so if we delete this, we're still gonna give credit to the author. In this case, we're gonna repeat that because it said on line 2. Let's see if it runs this time. No module name requests. So py -2 -m pip install requests. Okay, let's see what issue we run into now. No module name XML. Py -2 -m pip install LXML. What else? So let's run it again. Let's clear the screen. Requirements. Oh, not that. This one. Backdoor uploaded at this address. So this seems that it might have worked if we visit the designed or designated address. We have command execution. Let's see, present working directory, var www.html. Let's ls -al home. There's nothing in home. Can we ls the root? We cannot. Let's do a uname -a. Okay, so we have command execution on the server, which is the purpose of this challenge. So we can simply consider this finished or completed. Do we need to provide anything? We can just mark it as complete. Let's see. There's also a hint here. All relevant information to solve this lab is available on the CVE website. So this is the official website for the vulnerability that we're talking about. Okay, so I guess that was informative. I can just Control-Z to leave the file intact. So this wasn't able to, they had a line, they have a character on line 2 that wasn't able to be parsed, I guess, by Python. But anyways, let's go back to your question, fellas. I don't think they're asking for, so Striker, you need privilege escalation? I don't think so, do I? Let's see. Your task is to find and exploit this vulnerability, which is what I did. In the exercise below, the attacker has administrative access and needs to find a remote code execution attack to run arbitrary commands on the server, which is exactly what I did. Yeah, so I found the exploit and I found the vulnerability and I exploited it. So I believe this challenge has been completed. Yeah. Okay, Striker. That's fine. So let's go to the chat thing. Now we have a few more minutes to actually having me answer your questions, which are very few to my pleasure, I would say. But if you still have questions, just leave them in the chat over wherever you're accessing the video on YouTube. Editsa, I'm still in high school. I have been doing IT for 1 year, so I know very little coding, but I want to get into bug bounties, but I need to learn the basics. Yeah, of course you need to learn the basics. You could just jump straight into bug bounty hunting if you want, but you'll probably feel completely lost. So instead of that, I would just take a course probably, or watch some YouTuber if you don't have money to spend on like courses, paid courses. There are a lot of free courses online as introductions to ethical hacking and cybersecurity. So I would start with that. More specifically, if you're interested into bug bounties, you would be wanting to look into courses that are introduction to bug bounty hunting or introduction to testing web applications, if that's what you want to do bug bounty for. Also, since you're new to this, I would actually be looking for a networking course to learn the basics of networking, which is very, very useful if you want to get into penetration testing. So, introduction to ethical hacking and cybersecurity and penetration testing, and you might be able to find, I don't know of any, but you might be able to find free courses on bug bounty hunting. I'm not sure. You could look on Udemy and check it out. So hopefully that helps. Editsa. Jeffy, do you think when starting off in bug bounties you should look for things like IDORs? What levels of bugs do you think you should start off with? Well, as Katie at Insider PhD often says, and I tend to agree, IDORs are very good bugs to start with because they don't require as much technical knowledge. Just some of them do, but you can find simple IDORs. You can still find simple IDORs by simply switching numbers and trying to test access controls. So yeah, IDORs would be a good bug to hunt for as a beginner bug bounty hunter. I personally look for IDORs in mobile apps, so I might be biased again in their favor. but I would say that yeah, you could start with IDORs. Instead of just I personally don't look for XSS or SQLi because I don't like XSS, to be honest. And as a bug bounty hunter, once you're set up on a path, you should probably go and specialize yourself in trying to find a specific bug, because bugs are plenty. Types of bugs are maybe dozens or hundreds, or even a lot of bugs that haven't been defined clearly as of yet. So find the type of bug that you at least enjoy looking for, and go hunt for it as much as possible, because if for all the programs you would be hunting for XSS, so for every program, bug bounty program that you're hacking on, you would be hacking for XSS, SQLi, CSRF, and everything, it might take you much longer to get specialized in a certain bug. Okay, so hopefully that helps Jeffy. Any more questions? Je s'appelle Groot. Can you make video on security code warrior? I actually did a video on secure code warrior, so go onto my channel, Je s'appelle Groot, and look for that video in the video section. So I did a review on secure code warrior. Okay. Vedang Chopra. Hi, I saw your machine learning with penetration testing series. I'm trying to pursue the same as a career. For this, what do you feel is more important to learn, the security part or the AI part? Wow, that strike a very sensitive chord to me, because I also want at some point to find a bridge, or to actually fill the gap in cybersecurity combined with machine learning. It's like, it's the ultimate thing that I want to pursue. I want to actually get better in machine learning and AI, and I want to try to combine that with some sort of cybersecurity stuff. You could do that offensively, but I think the current applications for machine learning and AI in cybersecurity are mostly for defensive purposes, in that you would have an AI or an algorithm doing blue team stuff, like analyzing logs, real-time threat intelligence, and stuff like that, which is super interesting. You just have to devote yourself to actually learning as much as possible on both topics that you're trying to combine, in this case machine learning and cybersecurity. So your question was, I am trying to pursue the same as a career. For this, what do you feel is more important to learn, the security part or the AI part? So both of them are really important to learn. It might take quite some time for you to actually have some good level of knowledge in both of them, but, or and, I guess and is a better word to say, for the machine learning AI part of it, if you don't know anything about machine learning, I would start with the basic algorithms, and with some libraries, some very simple libraries that implement those algorithms, because you don't want to learn how to implement like support vector machines from scratch in Python. You don't want to reinvent the wheel. You just want to apply support vector machines to your problem. For that, you want to understand what support vector machines, for example, which is a machine learning algorithm, you want to understand what support vector machines do, and then try to see how they fit in your cybersecurity problem, because some machine learning algorithms or AI algorithms are better suited for a certain problem than others, such as, for example, convolutional neural networks are very good on image and video data, on computer vision, while some other types of algorithms or types of neural networks are more fitted to other types of problems, such as text processing, whatever. I can't think of anything else right now, but there are a very big a very big set of problems that can be approached with machine learning, as long as you know how to apply the specific algorithm. So you would be focusing on knowing the basic algorithms of machine learning, such as linear and logistic regression, support vector machines, decision trees, random forests, simple neural networks. You might not even need a neural network depending on your cybersecurity project that you're pursuing. And then, of course, you have to know your cybersecurity, whatever problem you're trying to focus on. So the short answer to your question, which one is more important, the machine learning part or the cybersecurity part, both of them are really important. So you have to actually dedicate enough time to be relatively decent, to have relatively decent knowledge on both of them. Okay, hopefully that answers your question. Alright? Do you still recommend Marcel? Do you still recommend CTF challenges or go for CEH training? Marcel, I don't think I've ever actually recommended CTF stuff because I don't like CTFs. And please don't be confused by my activity on attack defense as a CTF thing. I don't consider that a CTF. That's a real world scenario. What I consider CTF is stuff like finding, like all those CTF challenges that are on CTF time. Not all, but a lot of them are very freaking unrealistic. So I don't do that kind of stuff, such as finding hidden text in images, steganography, and all those unrealistic scenarios. I don't like that. So I don't think I've ever recommended that. Or go for CEH training via YouTube, Udemy, and so on. You can do CEH as a beginner certification or Security Plus, depending on your level of knowledge. But if you have some solid level of knowledge in cybersecurity, you could go straight for the OSCP. Hopefully that answers your questions. Well, books, videos recommended for bug bounty. I have a video on that, so make sure to look it up. But in short, I think it's Peter Jaworski, Real World Bug Hunting, which is a 2019 product, a 2019 book. And of course, there's also the very classic Web Application Hacker's Handbook from 2011, which I still find relevant. In terms of books, videos, there are a lot of people you can follow for bug bounties. Insider PhD KT Paxton Fear is really good at explaining or educating people in bug bounties. And of course, if you start following people on Twitter, you would also get other names. And there's also Nahamsek who does bug bounty videos. I might not know others from the top of my head. Of course, there's also this guy Stoke. Yep. And I think I can think of someone else. I cannot think of someone else from the top of my head. Okay. What else? Your questions, or so Marcel, or should we go after bug bounty after we have some basic HTML CSS knowledge? You don't need HTML or CSS because HTML or CSS are markup or stylish, are the stylish part of a website. You cannot call them a language. I mean, you can call HTML as a markup language because that's what its name implies that it is. HTML, hypertext markup language, if I am correct. And CSS is cascading style sheets. You don't have to know that, but if you're very new to bug bounty, you can actually go back to my answer to the previous question on how do I start in bug bounties, and I was explaining about the introduction to ethical hacking and penetration testing and all that stuff. Okay, hopefully that answers your question. Rashud Tiagi, can you teach us about pixel shuffle algorithm? I don't know what that is. Is that a machine learning algorithm? I haven't looked into it. I'll look into it maybe. And if it is interesting to me and relevant to the content of this channel, I might be doing a video on it. Vedant Chopra, I actually know basic both of these fields now. So this is with respect to cybersecurity and machine learning. Now I'm trying to learn more, but both being such deep fields are so time consuming that it's hard to focus on both. You have to be very specific. Cybersecurity is a large field. Machine learning is a very large field. You have to define your problem. What do you want to apply machine learning for your what's your cybersecurity problem that you want to apply machine learning for? Do you want to do like log analysis or real-time threat intelligence? Look into that type of problem and see what machine learning algorithm or AI algorithm is more suitable for that type of problem. You don't have to learn all the algorithms or everything about machine learning, because you'll never get to the bottom of it, ever. Okay, I think this would be all for today because we're almost 1 hour in. Vedant, hopefully I've answered your question. Rashut Yagi, what should we prefer, TensorFlow or PyTorch? Whatever works for you. I think TensorFlow is a bit lower level than PyTorch, so if you don't want to learn or know actually things from a very basic level, I would go with PyTorch, or you could also pick a wrapper on or over TensorFlow, and there are quite a few good ones. So look for Python wrapper libraries or Python TensorFlow libraries, because some of them, I think TF-Learn is one of them, or Keras, as Rashu, as you yourself have mentioned. So yeah, go for, if you don't want to know the intricacies of everything, just go for a higher level library and actually work with that. Adam Panek. Can I replace Burp Suite Pro version with OWASP Zap, or are there some features available exclusively in Burp? I haven't actually looked into this situation, but I think that you can get very far with OWASP Zap. I might be doing a OWASP Zap video in the future if more of you guys want it. I think that there is a lot of good stuff in OWASP Zap. And I think you could probably approach whatever situation you may have in Burp Suite Pro with OWASP Zap. Hopefully that answers your question. Okay, Striker, how do I find easier bug bounties to start in? I think I've already answered that question. Look for bug bounty programs that are not paying rewards. Alright, fellas, I think this was it for today. Thanks for joining me here, and of course, I'll be looking forward to seeing you in future live streams, which I'll be making more of them in the near future. So, bye-bye to everyone.